Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Task Episode 6. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss one of my reviews of Task, and please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Instagram. I do giveaways there, movie reviews, and you can see some of my celebrity interview clips. It's a really fun time, and I could really use the help. It mean a lot. So with this episode, we're literally jumping right where the cliffhanger ended last week, where it was this huge cliffhanger where everyone's converging at one spot. So it just feels like a direct continuation of watching the last episode. It's wild. You see, it really goes off when Jason just starts shooting at Robbie. And it seems like Perry wanted to bail at that point because the FBI was there, but Jason is not leaving without that dope. So it leads to a full-on shootout. It's interesting, a little moment here that Robbie actually saves Tom's life. Tom was about to get killed by a dark heart and Robbie shoots him. And stuff starts at the fan where Kathleen gets shot in the shoulder and then Lizzie gets shell shock, which is really important. So she starts to lose her hearing. While that's happening, Perry and Tom get into a wrestling match in the cabin, which I thought was a little silly because Tom knocks him out and he's able to get back up pretty quickly. You can't kill this guy, Perry. You can't knock him out. He's like just invincible. But we see Robbie's plan being acted out here. We see that his original plan was to use this Freddy interaction. He wasn't actually trusting Freddy. It was that Freddy was going to be the one to rat him out. He knew Freddy was going to do that. And it was a plan to lure the dark hearts into the woods and then lure Jason with the fake dope and throw it into the river. So that actually ends up happening here. And then Jason and Robbie go at it. Robbie's trying to strangle Jason. We're trying to get this cathartic moment for him. But we think it's about to happen. And he gets stabbed. And Tom actually stops Jason from doing more to Robbie, which probably would have been gruesome because we know how Jason is. But you think that's going to be the wild part of the episode, but the crazier thing happens next because Grasso is trying to play both parts here, where he's trying to keep the Dark Hearts away from Lizzie and trying to just keep as minimal damage towards the Dark Hearts as well. He tells them to just go to the trucks, but she sees the one that he warned not to shoot Lizzie. She points a gun at him. Grasso's behind them. It's a very intense moment. And this guy goes to shoot Lizzie, so Lizzie shoots him first. While she's still shell-shocked, Lizzie's having a really good day as a field agent going through all this. She gets a lot done, but she had no idea there was a rat in her group. Now Perry and Jason see them, and Grasso shoots them, but Lizzie runs to the bridge. And now Grasso runs to the bridge to get Lizzie, but Jason and Perry are driving onto that bridge, and she steps out and can't hear the car coming because of the shell shock and gets run over. The shocking moment made me so mad at Grasso. And you see, he says to her, hey, you did good today, which was paid off because it was someone he was encouraging in herself and believing in herself in these big missions, and she actually delivered. And unfortunately, he got her killed. Now, on the other side of things, Tom is trying to get Robbie to a hospital. It's too late. Robbie's seeing the light. He's thinking of his kids first, then Maeve, then Billy. And it's interesting. It doesn't show the title card of the episode till he passes. So it's like a new chapter in the show when Robbie passes. Now, in the aftermath, I love right here that Tom comforts Grasso, like, hey, it's not your fault. But once Tom gets more information as this episode goes on, you'll see that tune's going to change. But we see task is over. There's interviews set to happen, which pisses off Grasso, obviously. And Emilia even sees they're investigating boxes from the assignment, so they can all tell something's up. She's pissed. She wants justice for what happened to Lizzie. She sees the bullseye patch. This is representative of the nickname Lizzie gave to her. Now, where we get more insight into Grasso is Grasso's visited by his usual boss from his regular police force, someone else who's crooked. He's pissed at Grasso because he's going to be questioned now. He's like, I can't control the narrative on this one because remember, Grasso got away with this stuff before in the past. He's telling his old boss the horrible feeling he has from holding Lizzie, watching Jason run her over, and he's just like, forget her. So he snaps at him, but then this guy puts Grasso's head under the sink and tells him to get his head right, and they'll walk out of this just like last time. Now, Tom, we'll see, get through a lot of important information in this episode. He sees Maeve in another amazing scene acted by Emilia Jones. She is so good. He informs her that Robbie's dead and Jason killed him. It's like, poor Maeve, this is how her father died. Now her uncle dies the same way. Can't get a break. But Maeve tells Tom that Cliff and Robbie were headed to Wysicken Park, not Bailey. So from the top, the meetup plans were not lining up with Ray's phone. So this is going to make Tom super suspicious. Then Tom brings up when he first met her prior. It was the night she was dropping Sam at the store, remember? And asks her why she didn't tell the truth that night. She says, I got scared. I thought if I got arrested, they would take Harper and Wyatt. So Tom does Robbie's request. He can see that Maeve is a good person, that she was put in a terrible situation. And honoring Robbie's word, he protects Maeve because there's an attorney there who's ready to take her down. He has a great line where he says, we already have one kid without a family, talking about Sam. He's like, if we lock her up, we'll have 2 more. You just got to root for Tom here. It's a great episode for Tom, and really good point there as well. So he gets Maeve let go. She gets reunited with Harper and Wyatt, so that was great to see. So it's interesting to see what they'll do with Maeve in the final episode, if much at all. Now, we hit a little bit of a lull in this episode, maybe the most kind of slow, boring parts we've seen in the show yet. Like where Emily's coworker asked her to go out to this magic show. It's like, okay, great. But it was funny he ran to the wrong side of the car when he was all excited. I thought that was good. I got a laugh for me. And then Emily comforts Sarah as her husband leaves. See, this is what I'm worried about with the finale, is how much they're going to do with this personal life story with Tom, with his family. It's definitely the weakest part of the show, and it really shows in this lull of the episode. Like, Tom sees Sam's put in not a great situation. He goes to see Sam there. I like he gets to see that Sam loves Legos, but the big reveal is he brings Sam home and takes him in, because remember, he is a foster parent. He can do this, and Sam has the Batman Lego that he wanted originally from Maeve. And you get that synergy, of course, with DC, Warner Brothers, HBO. Gotta get Batman in there. And you see Sarah and Emily are like, what the hell is going on? But he says to them, all I can think in the moment is what your mother would do in that situation. So it's like a big sell there, and they're like, they get it. And then Emily confronts him a little bit about the booze and the Philly cups, but he's still in denial about it. And then we see Sam sleeps in Ethan's old room. Tom stays with him until he falls asleep. So again, this is kind of the sludge of the episode and the storyline that's really, to me, been weak the whole season. And it's interesting because it feels like a different show, right? Where you got all this exciting stuff happening with Robbie and Maeve, and when the FBI is investigating it. But when it goes to Tom's family life, it's just not the best stuff. So we go back to the good stuff, though, because the lull stops here and the episode ramps back up when Tom goes to see Kathleen, because now the interesting part of Tom's story is him investigating Grasso. See, he asked Kathleen, why is Task being investigated? She says when he brought the concerns to her about a leak originally, which we saw, she had an analyst look into team members. Now, we saw that with the sinister camera angle on that phone call that made me think she was the mole. So I was fooled by that. I don't know if I like how sinister that camera angle was for what's happening. It was almost like too trickery, but whatever. But Grasso had a complaint against him in 2021. Officer thought he might be tipping the gangs. That gang was the Dark Hearts. No formal charges were ever filed. The lawyer basically got it forgotten. That's why it wasn't a big thing Tom was aware of. It would have changed everything. Now let's go to this amazing scene that sets up where Tom goes to Grasso. This is the best scene of the episode and one of the best of the season, because the acting by Fabian Frankel and Mark Ruffalo is amazing here, and the writing is really, really good. You see, Tom says, did you see it happen about what happened with Lizzie? He's like, you don't feel responsible, do you? So he's already pulling at him. He says she should have never been out there in the first place. If we had taken Cliff like planned, Robbie never would be out in those woods. Lizzie's still alive. So he knows he's just pulling and pulling at Grasso. And then he informs him about what Maeve informed him about, the different park name. And then he gets him with this camera showing Cliff's car at that park. And he's like, how did Cliff go out to Wasaic Park instead of Bailey? So he's really hitting on it. And then he brings up his past complaint against him. But Grasso says, did you ever hear confession when you were a priest? You say your Hail Marys, Our Fathers, and then what? All these sins disappear like they never existed? And then he eventually says, you ever done something you sure you can't be forgiven for, Tom? Tom says back, my son has been sitting in a prison for 14 months, and I haven't been to visit him once. Confession is a human practice to help us deal with the shame. Confession is not for God's sake. Great writing here. He says, if you want to be forgiven, all you have to do is ask. And that's even where Grasso's like, you're good, Tom, because Tom's just doing this so well to get him to confess about what he's done, but he won't bite. But I love the line he says, I'm coming for you, Grasso. So just again, like I said, the writing here was really good, especially that line about it being a human practice and confession, and it's not for God. Really, really cool, and something to think about if you're into that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that Grasso's still staying put, though, and how this is going to wrap up with Grasso. I'm very excited to see, because it's the most engaging thing to set up for the finale with Tom hunting Grasso down. And we'll see that he'll go with Emilia now, which is cool, and they'll work together. They both want to give justice to Lizzie. Meanwhile, we get this scene where Jason is checking in on where Erin is, and now I had one of my subscribers point out that the actor who plays Jason, which I didn't know this, is Irish. And I see in this scene, this whole scene from the phone call to his conversation with Perry plays out in a full Irish accent. I mentioned this with the actress of Lizzie earlier in the season, where there's a scene where her accent fully comes out. This is something that is the actors got to tighten up, but also the editors and directors, someone's got to catch this and change it, whether they take another take for the director or when they're editing it, pull another take if there was one that's not in this blatant accent. It's very frustrating that this keeps happening and it takes me out completely. But you see that Jason saying to Perry, where is Erin? She would never leave the kids. So we have to see how that resolves. I think they're just going to end up killing each other. Now, Perry and Jason find the bag in the river. It's not dope. This then reveals Shelley has the bag of money from Robbie to Maeve. This was amazing. Robbie sold the dope to the original supplier Ray had mentioned, because remember, Shelley said she was on better terms with him and that guy didn't trust Ray. So that is where Robbie actually sold the dope and got the money. So it's also a little bit of redemption for Shelley too. She wanted to make right choices in her life, and she does here and getting away from Ray. I got goosebumps here with Maeve getting the money and then showing Robbie smiling in the water. It's the best thing Robbie ended up doing out of all the mistakes he made. He made sure Maeve was set up. He had Tom protect her, and he got her all this money. So some justice there for Robbie, and a great moment for Maeve. I really love that ending. So it's a crazy episode for me because you had this really exciting beginning, this lull in the middle, and then a really strong ending setting up the finale. So I had so many emotions going through and a lot of thoughts on how I can rate this. So to be fair, I think I'm going to give this episode an 8.6. And that's brought up from the beginning being pretty good and a really strong ending. But it's got to take points off for that middle lull. And it worries me a bit how they're going to resolve this storyline with Tom's son and Ethan and Emily and Sarah. It's just not really been engaging this whole season. And it's a drop-off in quality from Mare of Easttown's family dramas we saw there. It just didn't click with what the rest of the show was doing. It didn't tie in as well either as I thought it would. So that's been a big letdown of the season as a whole. We'll see how it wraps up in the finale. Again, Brad Inglesby always delivers of what we've seen so far with him with TV shows. So I'm excited to see how he wraps all this story up, and hopefully we get some justice here for Lizzie and Grosso gets caught, because now he's really set up as one of the biggest villains now. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button so you don't miss one of my reviews of Task. I also have Welcome to Derry coming up and the new show on Apple, Plurbius. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Instagram, and I'll see you next time.